knowing exactly how much energy.
That's him. That's Sadibou. Next guest on A Fighter Story. So this dude just won the PFL belt last year. That came with $1 million check. PFL is a lot different than most other promotions, to where it's a season and you have to go through and make sure that you don't fuck up. So this dude is amazing. He's a great friend, somebody that I really enjoyed getting to know and talk to. After he won his belt, he took it back to Senegal, which is where his family's originally from, even though he's from Sweden. So this dude's been all over the world, multiple time world champion in kickboxing and now PFL champion. So allow me to introduce my friend and hopefully yours soon, Sadibou. Thank you. See ya.
Hold up.
And there we go. We finally got it done. I want to say on the record, thank you for coming on, and I apologize for having to cancel before. It's not very often that I get another champion to come on the channel on the podcast, so it's a pleasure having you on. And thanks for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
No, first and foremost, no worries at all about canceling and rescheduling, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. It's been an honor to be able to watch you, especially last year when you won the PFL belt. That was an amazing sight to see. So,
Thank you so much.
I've been watching some of your videos, and you took it back to Senegal, and
Yeah.
you got to show all your family and everybody the belt, and so that was like a really special moment. So I was hoping we could kind of go back to the beginning of where you're originally from and where you grew up.
Yeah, so the thing is, I'm born and raised in Stockholm, Sweden, and that's my home. But
Okay.
both my parents are born and raised in Senegal and came to Sweden. My father came to Sweden late 70s, so uh, I still have a lot of like family and like yeah, my grandmother and my aunt is still in Senegal, so I still have my people up there. So it was amazing. So this time when I was there now after the championship was only my second time being in Senegal. So but it was amazing. Like the way they embraced me over there was like even more so than Sweden, to be honest.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I've been following your career for a little bit, and every time I see you fight, it says Sweden. So
Yeah,
that was a little throw off, but no, it was amazing
yeah,
to see. And
yeah,
yeah, so you're coming up, or you're growing up through in Sweden. Do
yeah.
you have like a traditional parents that, like, what are your parents kind of like, or what do they do, I guess?
So my father he passed away 10 years ago, unfortunately. But he drove a taxi, and my mother she works as a what do you call it, like a nurse at a hospital. So like I grew up. My upbringing was actually amazing. So I have five sisters and one brother. But the oldest sister, we only have the same father, not the same mother. It was before my parents met, so we didn't grow up together. We still like very close, and she was with me now in Senegal or whatever. But we grew up like two older sisters, one brother, and two younger sisters, and mom and dad, all of us together, like big happy family. Like because like as a fighter, there's a lot of fighters there's been like, yeah, if I didn't fight, I don't know what I would have done and stuff like that. Like I did that. That's not where I come from. Like I had an amazing upbringing. Like uh, my both my parents were very involved and all
Yeah.
of that, and like the whole family just loved sports and. Uh, I fell in love with mixed martial arts, I guess, or martial arts in general, because I started with kickboxing.
Yeah, I was gonna say you almost got. I got to bring it up. That liver kick that you got, that
Yeah,
left liver kick, that thing comes out of
yeah.
nowhere. That's got like some judo background, or there's something. Dude,
Taekwondo.
Oh yeah, that yeah, Taekwondo. That's what it is. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Because
it's
so,
Taekwondo.
did you start martial arts at a very young age?
I did not. So what happened is I played soccer, and soccer was my passion, and I was gonna be a soccer. It's like that was my dream, soccer player, right?
Yeah.
Uh, and around 14, 15, 14, I believe, I was gonna change the teams that I played for, and between finding like leaving with the team that I was going to and finding another team, I tried one kickboxing session, and I forgot all about soccer. And the thing is, so why I say kickboxing is because I still have the same trainers today. So he comes from from a taekwondo background, but
Okay.
the club was like starting going from taekwondo into kickboxing. So I just came in and started training when some people were still competing in taekwondo, but more so like people started to compete in kickboxing. So my whole base is like you can see a lot of taekwondo in my fighting style, but I
Yeah.
never competed in taekwondo.
Okay. Yeah, because I know, like, for those of my listeners that don't always know everything about fighting, like the stand-up style is completely different. The Taekwondo compared to like Muay Thai is
Correct.
severely different, and so the
Yeah.
way that you throw that left liver kick, there's no setup for it. It's just it's up.
Yeah.
There's no skip.
Yep.
There's nothing, and it's
Yep.
just so fast.
Yep.
So,
Correct. 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 And
so fast.
that's like yeah, and that's something that I've been working on, and I like to throw it from both stands because I switch stance, right? I fight
Mhm.
both orthodox and southpaw. So the left kick is always gonna be a big weapon for me. Um, and yeah, that's it all comes from the taekwondo base.
Yeah. So, did your family kind of follow you along with your newfound passion of martial arts, or were they trying to get you to still play soccer?
At the beginning, my mom was fine with it because she just thought like, yeah, it's something he likes to train. But me coming home after a couple of months and was like, yeah, I'm gonna compete. She was like, you're gonna do what now? And because she never went to my practice at that point or anything, she never seen me fight. She just like I go like as a teenager, I go to training, I come back home, and she's like, how was it? Oh, it was good. All of a sudden I'm gonna compete. She has no idea, and she's never seen it. She barely knows what it is I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
So she was like, all right, so I guess I need to try to support you. So she came to my first, like the whole family came to my first fight, right? And I did very well. I won every fight, and she was like, "Yeah, that's good, so good. Like, congratulations, but now we can like try to go back to not competing, right?" I was like, "No, well, let's try a little bit more," and it just continued like that until one day I just saw the switch in her because she went from "please don't continue" to "when is the next fight? I need to make sure I'm off work." And that's when I understood,
Wow.
like, oh, okay, yeah, okay. Because at that point, I believe she's seen me fight like 10 times, something like that. Been around, like, see everything happening, and she understands, okay, it's a sport, and they're actually training, and like, it's not only people trying to hurt each other. It's just like, uh, it, the more you watch it, the more you get like numb, if that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't,
There's a certain level of respect that I feel like, especially
yeah,
if you're not in that the fighting world, is to where even in practice, you thank your pad holder or your sparring partner in
for
jiu-jitsu,
sure,
like
for sure.
it's a very respectful thing. So,
It
but from
is.
the
It
outside
is.
perspective, it's you're just trying to knock the other guy's head off. You
Yep.
know.
Yep.
So
That's correct. So I believe it took her a couple of fights because I say her because the rest of the family were okay with it, right?
mhm.
And I understand why she feels that way because even myself, like like a couple of years in, I started to coach people and corner people that was fighting, right? And I was so nervous before their fight, even though I was a fighter myself. So I can just understand, like when you feel deeply about someone and you see them go in there, like it's hard.
Yeah. Do you feel like you have more stress watching your training partners fights than actually your own fight?
I believe it was a point where it was harder for me to, especially like while some of my training partners going into a tough fight, and I was like, this is gonna be a tough one. Like I don't see you.
You can't say that though, but
I can't say that. I can't show that, but because at the same time it's so hard because you just want to go in there and be like, yeah, do this, do that, do this, do that, right? But the only thing you can do is try to like help them prepare as best as possible, right? And then uh, do what you can do during a fight. But it's so hard because like when the cage or when the ring, like when you're in there, like there's only so much the coach can do, right? So yeah, at that it's hard. But also it's been different stages for myself when it comes to like anxiety and like nervous and all of that, right? Uh, as like when I started, I was so young and like naive and like I was just like, yeah, of course I'm gonna win. Like I'll just go in there and win. Like that was my mentality. And then all of a sudden I was competing for like international championships and stuff like that. And I started to think like, oh damn, if I win this fight, I will become European champion. If I, like so I started to like put some pressure on myself. And also the more I won, like friends and people were like, yeah, all right, in this fight, I want you to finish that way and that way and that way. So I like started to fight for other people, if that makes sense, right?
yeah, yeah,
Trying
no, it
to
does.
please other people, right? And I noticed that the result like mirrored that as well. So when I got back to why I'm fighting and who I'm fighting for, um, I believe that I was in more of a control and like I wasn't as nervous as like earlier, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
So, are you in your early days when you started training and you're doing just kickboxing? Are you competing in just like a stand up kickboxing, or are you going into
Yeah.
MMA? Okay, so when did
So
you make
so
that transition?
2013, I did
Okay.
my first MMA fight. So I believe I did my first fight in general, like just 4 or 5 months after my first practice, which was around 2002, I believe. So I did kickboxing and Muay Thai for uh, what is that, 11 years, something like that, 10 plus
Yeah.
years. And I managed to become multiple European champion and world champion 4 times in kickboxing. No, sorry, 3 times in kickboxing and 1 time in Muay Thai. And after that, I went into MMA at 2013, and I had like my plan at that point was to do kickboxing, MMA, and Muay Thai like all simultaneously, like because I just wanted to be able to get the best fights possible, right?
Right.
Uh, because in kickboxing and Muay Thai, even though I was fighting professionally, it wasn't any big purses, and like I understood that okay, if I'm gonna do this as a profession, I need to try to get something for it, even though that wasn't my like initial like intention with starting with the sport. But like okay, so now I'm a grown man. If I'm not getting money from this, I need to work, and if I'm working, I'm not gonna be able to do it. Like so, it was like a um, uh, I don't know exactly the right word to say, but so I went into MMA because I thought that it was going to be more opportunities, uh,
Mhm.
even though I didn't necessarily love MMA at that point.
So what's that walk like? You know, because you're a veteran in making that walk out to the cage or the ring, and
Yeah.
in kickboxing and Muay Thai and everything. What is that walk like? Is it different knowing that it's a cage now and it's full MMA?
So like when I was fighting in kickboxing and Muay Thai at there like when I after like a couple of years, um, I started to understand what I needed to do. So like I wasn't that nervous per se. If I prepared well, right? If, like I got my confidence from my preparation and from just believing in myself, right?
Mm.
But that also came from experience, right? I had almost maybe 80, 90 kickboxing Muay Thai fights. So go back to 2013, now I start from the beginning, right? So it was like, okay, so what can I expect now? So in the first fight was so like it was nervous, a lot of nerves because it was new, and also because I believe if you ask fighters, uh, like no one is afraid of like getting hurt. Like no one is afraid of the pain because like we train so hard and we like, but
Yeah.
what you're afraid of is like making a fool out of yourself on live TV or getting exhausted. And for me, knowing exactly how much energy I could exert in each round in kickboxing, Muay Thai. Now all of a sudden I'm doing MMA, and like the whole round game, wrestling game is so new to me. So I have no idea how to like portion the energy throughout the fights, and so there were
Yeah.
so many different things, you know. So that gave me a lot of like uh, yeah. So I started to get more nervous again, of course. Uh, but now, a couple of years in, to be honest, when I feel a little bit like I felt like in kickboxing and Muay Thai after a
Yeah.
couple of years, I'll start to feel the same way now in MMA. Like I know how long a 5 minute round is.
Right. Right.
I know that there's not 3 minutes, it's 5 minutes. I know, like so like I know that, and I know how hard it is to wrestle, and I know how much energy I need to have for each discipline, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
so I'm not that obsessed. So right now I feel very relaxed going into the fight.
How many amateur fights did you compete in for MMA before you decided to turn pro?
Zero.
What?
So yeah, that's a funny story to be honest. So what happened was because I was a multiple time world champion, right? So I came to the MMA gym, to Pancrase gym in Sweden, to the MMA coach, and I've been at that gym helping their strikers with their stand up stuff like that, right? Before
Yeah.
fights, they want some strike stuff. But I've never done MMA. So I came to the gym already offered a fight from a promotion that was like 4 months ahead. So I came to the coach and I was like, yeah, so I have a fight and I want to start MMA. He's like, oh, perfect, let's go. He's like, when is the fight? I'm like, in 4 months. He's like, oh, freaking fuck. So he didn't say anything. But and for me, but because I was a little bit, I was a lot of, I was naive. I thought, well, it's fighting,
Yeah.
right? I didn't expect it to be so much like such a different sport, like from kickboxing, Muay Thai,
Mhm.
which is pretty similar to MMA. I had no idea it was like the. It's so much like the tempo, the rhythm, the distance, everything is different. Like I had a lot of techniques that was like my signature techniques in kickboxing and Muay Thai that was all like I could just take them to the trash because like people weren't just standing in front of me; they were jumping around. I was like, why are you jumping so much? Like I can't. So I realized that in my pro career, I had to learn how to become an MMA fighter.
That's awesome, man. And you said you still have like the same team or the same coach, or how are you going
Yeah.
through that? Still the same team
So
from when you started and everything.
yeah. So my first coach, his name is Roland Peltier. Uh, so the kickboxing Jim Vasa. So he's still in Sweden. So he's been with me all my fights in PFL, and the MMA gym that I fought for from Sweden, called Pancrase Gym. Every time I'm back in Sweden, I train with them, and I train also with the All Star Gym in Sweden. But unfortunately, the coach over there has not been with me for the last season, 2 seasons for PFL. But I have another coach with me from his name is Selman from he's one of the head coaches at All Stars Gym, so he always comes out and cornering me. So uh, so I have the same people that I've known for years, but
That's
now
amazing.
since January 2021, I'm based here in Vegas, and right now I'm training, yeah, at Extreme Couture with I don't know if you know all the coaches out here, um, Eric Nixick, Ray Sifo, Nate, Dennis Davis. Like there's a lot of great coaches that I work with out
Mhm.
here.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. It's I want
Yeah,
to get into one more thing and then get you out of here. I wanted
yeah,
to
bro.
talk a little bit about the PFL season and the
Right.
fact that you're not fighting the traditional MMA promotion to where it's like you have a fight booked, normally 6 to 8 weeks out, something like that, or if you get a last minute fight, and then you have a whole season to where you have to
Yeah,
work off of points, and at the
yeah,
end of that, you have the ability to make $1 million. So
correct.
how is that different in your fighting style, knowing that you need to go for points, or are you still going for the knockout every single time and putting it all out there? How do you kind of handle that? I've always been very curious with the different promotions.
Yeah, you're completely right. And to be honest, I believe everyone goes about it like differently.
Mhm.
But for me, that's been one of the things that I've been trying to like, how do you say, like understand. Okay, so uh, how much not understand, master, if that is a better word, because in PFL you fight 4 times to be able to win. You'll fight 4 times in 6 7 months, right, against top level opponents.
Right.
If you compare with a company like the UFC, where you might fight, I believe you promise 3 fights per year, which would be one fight every 3 to 4 months, something like that, right? Uh, and if you're injured or anything comes up, whatever, you can postpone the fight with, like, for PFL, that doesn't happen. If you're not fighting, someone else is gonna take your place. So you better make sure you're ready at every date, right? You can't afford to to get sick, to get injured, to get because then you're out and the next man is in, right? I like that format because there's no room for politics. There's no room for, yeah, that guy is more hype, so he'll go through. No, if you win, you advance. So you have it in your own hands. But at the same time, like I said, if you if you if you're injured or if you're not, like, oh, I didn't have the perfect camp because first 3 weeks of the camp I was sick, whatever, no one cares. Like,
Yeah.
you see what I'm saying? So it's hard, but I love it because for me it's giving me because I believe that this format is the hardest out there in MMA. I
Oh, for
believe
sure.
so, right? There's no, even Bellator has their like tournament, but they do it for like over like 1 year, year and a half. Like there's like it goes 6 months, then you have another, like having just a couple of weeks, you fight, you come out from the fight, next week you get a new name for a fight for a guy you're gonna fight in like 8 weeks or 7 weeks. Like going through that has made me so much better because you have to be prepared to fight every style. So you have to work, or you have to become
Yeah.
like so well rounded,
I've talked to some of my friends about the differences that they're not really into the fight game, about the difference between like the PFL and the UFC. And I think the biggest thing from my vantage point is the PFL turned a promotion into a sport. Kind of, it took it to more. It is the league, like to where
Yep.
you have the NFL, you have a schedule, and you have to
Yep.
stick to that schedule, and that kind of makes it more of a sport. It does take the politics out of it, especially in the
Yep.
UFC. You could have an 18-year-old stepping in, and all of a sudden he's on the game,
Yep.
and you got all this politics type stuff to push people up, exactly like you're saying. So you are, in my opinion, you're 100% correct in saying it's the hardest format to
Yeah.
fight in. I obviously am not fighting in the PFL, but I can only imagine, just with your schedule and the stress that goes along with that, even going into practice, you're taking risk
Yeah.
every single day of popping a knee or
For
something.
sure.
So
For sure, for sure, for sure. And like even speaking with like a lot of fighters that's been fighting for various promotions such as UFC, like that's the intensity from when the season starts to like go through the season. It's so much harder than everyone expects. Like not only physically, not only mentally, but also with like you have to diet and make weight 4 times in 6 to 7 months. which
Yeah.
is crazy because you see people after a fight they go for a food bender for 2 to 3 weeks. No, 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 no. You might have that weekend and then you have to go back. Like it's so many things that people don't realize, and that's also just to go back to the point because I have friends like for instance in my semifinals last season against um, Carlos Leal, sorry. So because I believe that if if I didn't think about the finals, I would have taken a little bit more of a risk and maybe have been able to go for a finish at some point in the fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I have friends that were like, "Yeah, you should have gone for the finish. You should have done." And I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm fighting again in a couple of weeks. I'm fighting for a purse that's gonna change my life. I'm feeling that I'm winning this way, but still you wanted more entertainment. Like you see what I'm saying? And there's so many things like that, which is like because you of course you want to please people, you want to go for the knockout, you want to go like, but sometimes it's hard, because like the guy's not just gonna stay there and let you knock him out. So yeah,
Yeah, no, you are fighting the top of the top. I know, like,
yeah,
I feel like a lot of people will say the UFC is, but you, like you said, you can pull out, and like, and change the fight. So, and you're fighting
yeah.
top level competitors. What is that feeling like knowing that you finally have a chance to take a fight that you know is going to change your life forever in the PFL Championship?
It felt if like to be honest, if I go to like the preparations before, um, for me, I didn't think about the paycheck. I didn't think about anything else but the fight because I was like, if I just focus on the fight, I focus on myself and what I need to do to beat this particular opponent, then everything else is gonna sort itself. I'm gonna get the belt. I'm gonna become champion. That's gonna come with that price. Like, so because it's just like thinking about the PFL season. If you think about, oh man, I have 4 fights in 6 months. Yeah, it sounds rough, but right now what I have is I have one fight in 2 months. That's the only thing I'm thinking about right now. You see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to always like make it like what I have in front of me and what I really need to focus on. Because
Mhm.
if I start thinking about, yeah, so after this fight, I'm gonna fight that guy potentially, and maybe look look over that guy. I'm not gonna get over it. I'm not gonna win that fight potentially because I didn't take that seriously. Like, so I need to have all my focus on what's in front of me, and sometimes for me, it's just dumb it down and just make it simple. Like I had that fight. Screw the championship, screw the money, screw everything. That fight wanna beat me. No, I'm not gonna let that happen. Like that was my way to like approach it. And afterwards, like it took maybe a good 3 to 4 weeks to understand what just happened.
Yeah, what is that feeling like? I mean, you got your hand raised. The PFL,
Yeah,
they put the belt over your shoulder instead of putting it around your waist, and they have this
yeah,
gigantic check. It's just obscene
yes,
for no reason. I don't know
yeah, yeah,
why
yeah,
you need this big
yeah,
check. Normally,
yeah,
they just
yeah,
hand it
yeah,
to you in the back. But what is that
yeah.
feeling like, finally getting that belt, on the massive stage of the PFL? Handed $1 million check. The confetti's going everywhere. The lights are
Yeah.
everywhere. What is that feeling like?
It's surreal because like for years I've been watching my opponents like live that moment and understanding that I have what it takes to be there. I just need to figure a couple of things out. So I believe that the moment was sweeter for me because it was my fourth season. Was it the fourth season? Yeah, I believe it was the fourth season, right? 2018, 2019, 20, yeah, it was the fourth season in PFL. So okay, I was an alternate for the finals 2 times, and one time I was out in the quarterfinals. And at that point, in the quarterfinals, I lost. And no, I didn't lose. I had a draw against Ray Cooper, who then won that season. So I'm like, I'm right there. I'm right there. So now making a couple of adjustments, coming out to Vegas, training here, and then finally starting to feel a little bit like the thing that I was saying with the kickboxing and Muay Thai, the experiences, knowing what I need to do to win. Like, to be honest, it was surreal. It was so. I don't think that I would have enjoyed the moment as much if I just wanted the first year, because I wouldn't have had to ask myself so many different questions to be able to overcome everything and become the champion. If
Yes.
that makes sense.
Yeah. No. Yeah. It definitely does. Um.
Mm.
All right. So I know you got to get out of here. So just a couple more minutes.
Go
I
ahead.
wanted to know what is next for you, because you're a world champion, multiple
Yeah.
time belt holder all over the world, multiple sports. You've got the PFL in lockdown. You got a season coming up. What are
Yes,
you
sir.
looking forward to next, and what's on the horizon for this coming year?
So yeah, so for me, like I'm gonna be greedy. I'm going for the second season. I'm winning
Oh
this
yeah.
year again, starting April 14th in 2 months. So I'm just like, this is like the first week of camp. I've been doing like pre-camp. So right now, like having this this podcast with you, I'm reminded about last season. But for me, last season is last season. Like that's not gonna. I'm not gonna go into the next fight and be like, yeah, yo, I'm a champion, so take it easy. No, no, I'm
They're coming
gonna
for your
I'm
head.
no, no, no. People will be coming for me, and I love
Yeah.
it, and I'll be working harder because now I know it works. I know the recipe. Yeah, so I'm back to back. That's the goal.
Yeah, no, that's amazing, man. What have you changed for this upcoming camp? Or have you changed anything?
So in general, I believe, because if you looked at my like growth in MMA, or if you like just my evolution. So I came in as a striker, right? Which is, it's natural that I needed to work on my wrestling and my grappling. So before last season, I believe that people were watching my fights and had like a game plan that, okay, if I can just take him down and hold him down, I'm gonna be able to win the fight, because that's like all my losses were just like that, right? So for me to be able to uh, to be honest enough to see that, okay, that needs to change, because if I'm my opponent, that's the game plan that I was
Right.
gonna
Yeah.
put up, right? So I put myself in their mind, me and my team, and now we don't have that. But that took away a little bit of my striking because I had to put so much effort into plugging that hole, so to speak. Now I feel so comfortable in wrestling and grappling that I can start getting back to my striking, get that on, like, because I believe that to do that, I believe I had to take a little bit off, not on purpose, but I believe that that's what happened.
Yeah.
So that's why, because I didn't have any finishes last season. I still won. So this year I'm looking to finish people.
So I got a random, really weird question. I feel like I don't really get a chance to talk to world champions this often. So I got to know
Yeah.
the confidence that you had from getting that belt and kind of like throughout
Yeah.
that night. I know that night you're on top of the world. You have to have
Yeah.
done that to know what that's actually like. But how long were you able to
Yeah.
carry that confidence on with you, and are you still able to do that now?
For sure. And it all boils down to me, my work ethic. Like, for like coming to the gym, and people look at me and be like, man, I'm so happy for you, but I saw you working your ass off for, like, there's no fluke, right? There's you don't get to become a 5-time world champion if you're not working on
Mhm.
that, right? So everything, I'm a firm believer that what happened is not gonna help you for the next fight, but that's not necessarily true. But just because in my mind, I need to I can't be complacent, right?
Yeah,
So I need to make sure that okay, what can I do better? What do I need to change? Even though I won, if you hear me and my coach, if you look at like the things that we've been writing down for the next season, you would have thought that I lost in a knockout my last fight, because that's the way we approach it, and that's not to not be, because for me, I'm gonna be able to smell the roses when I'm done, but for now, I'm still like I don't believe that I'm in my prime yet. So if I start to be like take the foot off the gas pedal or whatever, I'm not gonna reach the goals that I'm when I'm and I'm gonna like shoot myself in the foot, so to speak. So
yeah,
so for me, of course, the confidence comes from all the experience, but more so also putting in the work.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I have noticed that whenever I'm not injured, I
yeah,
kind of can carry some confidence from the gym into like my daily life.
yeah,
And so I can
yeah,
only
for sure.
imagine what that's like, holding a belt and everything. So, but yeah, all
Yeah,
right, man. It's truly been amazing getting to know you and hearing your story and everything. Where can everybody find you
appreciate you having me.
online? Um,
So, easiest way to find me is on Instagram. That's where I'm most active, and it's my full name, Sadibou. And that's where you're gonna find all the information also regarding my upcoming fights, which is gonna be here in Vegas as well. PFL is coming back to Vegas
oh, nice.
in
Okay,
April, which is amazing. Yeah, yeah, amazing. So I don't have to travel for this one.
that's going to be
And
amazing for you to
also,
not have to travel.
yeah,
That'll make the weight
yeah,
cut a
yeah,
lot
yeah,
easier.
yeah, yeah. Much easier, much easier. So I'm happy about that. But also, I wanted to ask about your health, your knee. How is it
Oh
going in the
yeah,
right
thanks for
direction?
that. No, yeah, so I go in for surgery on the 22nd. We got to do
Okay.
it's something in my lower back. They got to cut some bone out and rearrange everything, but I've been through worse, man.
Oh wow.
I've put myself through hell. I've crawled out of it, and this is just like a small speed bump. That it seems like it's a big thing right now because I'm in it, like I'm
Yeah.
in the chaos of
Yeah.
everything. But I can see
Yeah.
that like
Yeah.
there's light at the end of the tunnel, and I'll get through it. So no, thanks for asking, man. That means a lot to me. I appreciate that. Um,
No, I like the mindset and keep it up.
yeah, no, I'm trying. I That's why I asked the confidence question, and that's honestly why I do this, is to just to kind of see how people can get to where they got, because it's I never wanted to be one of those people that looked at somebody and be like, that must be nice. I
Yes.
don't like that mindset. That's a horrible, horrible mindset. So instead of trying to be
Yeah.
like, oh, that must be nice, I just wanted to have a conversation, and see what
Yeah.
it's, and see how you got there and just talk to
Yeah.
people like humans, and no ego involved, nothing like that. And it's working out so far. It's been a fun trip, and I've gotten to talk to you today, which has been amazing. So yeah, no, I've
Perfect.
been having fun,
Appreciate you.
man, and it's going to be amazing to see you fight April 14th. You don't have to travel,
Correct.
to in Vegas, and
Yeah.
it's almost, yeah, I don't know, man. It's going to be a little bit more stressful watching you fight this time after I've gotten a chance to meet you and talk to you and everything. But I will
Appreciate you.
100% be watching, and I will post your social media links below this, and then also that Senegal video is amazing, so I'll probably put that down below as well, so people can see you going
Please
back
do.
to your roots and getting to show off the
Yeah.
belts back to the Senegalese people. So, all right, man. Well,
Love
I'm
it.
going to let you get out of here. It's been amazing talking to you, and sincerely
Thank you
for
so
coming on.
much.
All right.
All right, my
Coming
man.
on, man.
Take care. Speak later.
Take
All
it
right.
easy.
Bye.